Hey guys, I just want to do a quick kind of discussion video talking about things that I've been noticing in the booktube community lately. Ever since the We Need Diverse Books campaign, I've seen more and more booktubers start to read books with more diverse characters, and that is great. Because the more people who hear about these stories will then go and possibly buy the books, and that shows publishers that stories with characters who aren't cisgendered, heterosexual, white, able-bodied men actually sell. And when publishers see that these books sell, then they'll publish more, and that means more representation and less lonely kids. So please, please keep reading diverse stories. But today I just want to talk about how we talk about these stories. There are a lot of great books out there with diverse characters that don't address the issues that come with being a minority. The plot wouldn't be altered if some able-bodied white cis-het male stepped into the plot, but the author chose to have some really great representation. A character may be gay, but their plot isn't centered around being gay, and that's great. But a lot of books with representation do revolve around these heavier topics, like being gay, being a person of color, having mental illness, and etc. I think some booktubers that I hear reviewing books with these subjects have never had to talk about these uncomfortable topics before, and that's okay. There is a way to talk about books about being gay or queer or disabled or having a mental illness or even being a person of color a little bit more sensitively. Firstly, you should approach these topics very carefully because you never want anyone to be triggered. If you're going to be talking about suicide or self-harm, I would highly advise you putting a trigger warning before your video or before you even touch on the subject or even in the description. If you're going to be quoting any slurs, whether that be racist slurs, slurs against gay people, slurs against women, I would suggest putting a trigger warning before those two. Which leads me to point number 2, which is what compelled me to make this video. Don't use slurs, especially if you're not quoting anything. I have a video which I'll link in the description that briefly touches on the subject of reclaimed slurs, but I don't see why, if you're not a member of the community that reclaimed that slur, why you think you can use it even if the author uses it. This goes for every single thing you do on this website that is public. I know that live shows can feel like you're just hanging out with your friends, but people are watching it. That's why it's a live show. Don't use the R slur if you're not mentally disabled. Don't use the F or T slur if you're not part of the gay community. And seriously, do people not understand that if you are white, do not under any circumstances use the N-word? I have some guidelines that I would really love if booktubers could adopt that aren't as glaringly necessary as don't use slurs. There have been a lot of great books published recently about characters with mental illness, but I've noticed that a lot of booktubers tend to call these characters crazy. And it's not just the word, it's the context and the tone that you're using, like, oh yeah, she ripped apart that house because she was crazy. No, 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 no. That's not okay. Now, when talking about sexuality, try not to erase the character's specific sexuality. Is that character gay or are they bisexual? Do they go by a label? Have they showed interest in multiple genders but nothing has been stated? I know I've been bad in the past and just grouped some characters under the umbrella of queer when I didn't want to go searching through the book to find out what they are. But a lot of sexualities get less representation than others. If the character identifies as a bisexual, we should be screaming that from the top of our lungs because bi erasure is huge. There are so many real people, like historical figures and celebrities and just people like you and me that are bisexual but get labeled as either straight or gay, and that's not okay. When talking about gender, you should always use the character's preferred pronoun. None of this he is a she kind of shit that I see so often. People are like, oh yeah, here's the plot. The guy is hooking up with this girl, but the girl is a dude. She's a dude. No. No, she's not. Use the pronoun that the character obviously wants to be called. I don't care what their family calls them. I don't care what other people use. Use what the character wants. I don't care that they're fictional characters. This is about representation for real people, and we need to respect that. I want to feel comfortable, and I want other people to feel comfortable in this community too. There have been so many videos about how to make this community better, and we could argue about Amazon wishlists and the number of hauls people upload until our tongues fall off. But this is about keeping people safe. And I'd really like if we could talk about this more, and if you could share this video, I would love it to get the word out that these things are not okay to do. I don't believe that anyone is doing this with ill intentions. It just happens. It just comes out, especially in comments and in live shows. Because if you've been using a word all of your life, it's really hard to change that up, but I would really like it if we could try. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye! Hey guys, despite all of the evidence, I am not dead, and my booktube-a-thon actually was pretty successful.